So today we're going to be talking about the best UFC fighters to come from down under. Where I'm talking about is Australia, New Zealand. Let's start off with the light heavyweight that is Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg has a current MMA record of 12-1. He is currently on a 7-fight win streak in the UFC, coming off a very impressive performance against former title challenger in Volkan Oezdemir. The guy is on a 7-fight win streak now in the UFC and is heading towards his biggest matchup of his career, and that is at UFC Fight Night London, where he takes on the former UFC light heavyweight champion in Jan Blachowicz. Is he going to win that matchup? I'll let you in on a wee sneak peek. No. Jan Blachowicz is going to beat Carlos Ulberg in my opinion. Although Carlos Ulberg, great fighter. I mean, if he beats Jan Blachowicz with the history that his camp have with Alex Pereira, he's probably going to fight for the belt next. I'm just being honest. The ties he has to Adesanya. Look, I know Adesanya and Pereira are meant to be like friends now, but if Carlos Ulberg goes in there, beats Jan Blachowicz impressively, even if he doesn't do it impressively, the UFC are going to give this guy a title shot. Although, will it be against Pereira next? I don't know, because I think when Pereira beats Ankalaev, he moves up to the heavyweight division. But starting off the list, we have got Carlos Ulberg in there. Moving on next, we have got former flyweight title challenger. Yes, that is Steve Ercik. Current record of 12-3. He is a former title challenger. A lot of people seem to think that he beat Pantoja in their matchup. I don't really know how people came to that conclusion when you watch that matchup. To me anyway, it is clear that Pantoja beat him, although he was on a very hyped up win streak going into that matchup. He was coming off a big KO over Matt Chanel. He was on a 3-fight win streak, going into that matchup against Pantoja, and he held up really well in there. He did give Pantoja a competitive fight. Obviously, since then, he's went on to be KO'd by Kai Kara-France in the very first round of UFC 305. Although he does have a chance to turn it around here in his next fight. He is fighting Brandon Moreno at UFC Fight Night Mexico City, I believe. Brandon Moreno is currently ranked number 2 in the flyweight division, so this would help Steve Ercik climb way back up the rankings again if he is successful in beating Brandon Moreno. Do I think that's going to happen? Not really. I do think Steve Ercik is slightly overrated, but I have him over Carlos Ulberg right now because the guy has fought for the title. That has to stand for something. Steve Ercik is in here next. Moving on up the list, we have got the man who just KO'd Steve Ercik. Yes, that is Kai Kara-France. Kai Kara-France is currently ranked number 4 in the UFC's flyweight division. It has pretty much been confirmed that Kai Kara-France is going to get his rematch. Yes, I said rematch against Pantoja, because for those who don't know, he did fight Pantoja on The Ultimate Fighter years ago. He did get beat by Pantoja then. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. Kai Kara-France has got he's been in the UFC for quite a while now. He's got a lot of fights under the promotion. He's got some big wins in there like Cody Garbrandt, Askar Askarov, and obviously just knocking out Steve Ercik, which he was the underdog going into that matchup, I believe. So he is going to be next to fight Pantoja. I think in the division right now, Kai Kara-France does give Pantoja his toughest test. The guy's probably the biggest puncher in the division, I'd say, right now. I mean, you don't really see flyweights knocking people out, especially in the first round. We've just seen him do that. He's got good boxing, good overall striking on the feet. Also, if you remember his fight against Askar Askarov, the takedown defense, the balance that he showed in there, Kai Kara-France has got some really good takedown defense. Pair that with his really well-rounded striking and how powerful he is. I think he is a threat to Pantoja. Do I think he's going to beat Pantoja? Absolutely not. I don't think anybody in the flyweight division right now will beat Pantoja, but he has his toughest test. Has he really earned it? The guy is only on a 1-fight win streak, although he didn't really lose to... what do you call that guy? Almir Albazi. That's how forgettable he is. He just got smoked by Brandon Moreno. But yeah, he didn't really lose to Almir Albazi. If you remember correctly, go back and watch that fight. I thought Kai Kara-France won that. I don't know why I keep thinking this guy is Kai Asakura when they don't fucking look similar at all. But yeah, he is next on the list. We have got Kai Kara-France. Moving on up the list, we have got Dan Hooker. Yes, Dan Hooker, been in the UFC, it seems like forever, has fought so many high level opposition. Has he beaten them all? No, he hasn't. But let's go through some of the names that he has beaten. That he has fought. Dustin Poirier, he beat Gilbert Burns, he beat Paul Felder, he beat Ali Quinta. He's been in there with the likes of Jim Miller, Michael Chandler, Islam Makhachev, the current lightweight champion. He's coming off a robbery win. Yes, I'm going to say it again. Robbery win over Mateus Gamrot. Gamrot won that fight in my opinion, and obviously he was meant to fight Dan Hooker was meant to fight Dan Hooker. He was meant to fight Justin Gaethje at UFC 313 in a 5-rounder, but had to pull out due to a hand injury. He is currently ranked number 6 in the UFC's lightweight division. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and his professional MMA record is 24 wins, 12 losses. Dan Hooker, congratulations, you're on this list, my boy. Moving on, we have got JDM. Look, JDM, you could argue, why is he above Dan Hooker? Dan Hooker's been in there with more elite opposition. Maybe he's beaten better names, but JDM is on track now to fight for the title. He is fighting Bilal Muhammad at UFC 315 at the cost of ruining UFC London, which I was a fucking idiot and bought a ticket for, and now I'm being treated to Sean Brady humping Leon Edwards for 5 rounds. Lucky fucking me. But JDM, he has a current record of 17 wins, 2 losses. He's ranked number 4 in the UFC's welterweight division. The guy's undefeated in the UFC as of now. He is on an 8-fight win streak. His most notable wins are Kevin Holland and Gilbert Burns. That Gilbert Burns matchup, obviously we've seen him come through a lot of adversity in there. Gilbert Burns broke his arm with a kick in there. JDM suffered a broken arm in there. He was being taken down. It looked like he was going to lose a decision. He was being out-grappled, but JDM does what JDM does, and he stopped Gilbert Burns brutally in that matchup at UFC 299. We haven't seen him in action since then. Obviously, like I said, the guy broke his arm pretty badly, I believe, so that's why we haven't seen him. He is fighting Bilal Muhammad at UFC 315, and I'm going to be honest, my early prediction for that matchup, I've got JDM beating him. I just think JDM, yes, he's been taken down and controlled by lesser opposition than what Bilal Muhammad is, but the guy scrambles like mad. He always is trying to get to his feet. He's got good takedown defense in my opinion, and on the feet I think his boxing is just going to be too crisp for Bilal Muhammad, and I actually think JDM is going to stop him. That is my prediction for that matchup. Moving on up the list, in at number 3 we have got Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker, an absolute legend of the game. Robert Whittaker, obviously a former UFC middleweight champion. The guy only did get 1 title defense, but nonetheless the guy was a champion. He's currently ranked number 5 in the UFC's middleweight division. He has a professional MMA record of 27 wins, 8 losses. He has got some big names on his resume like Yoel Romero twice, Marvin Vettori. He's beat Jared Cannonier, He's beaten Paulo Costa. The guy's been in there with the who's who in the middleweight division. Obviously, he's been in there with the likes of Adesanya as well. He's been in there with Khamzat Chimaev. Came up short in those matchups, but Robert Whittaker has been in there. He also beat Ikram Aliskerov not that long ago, the fight before Khamzat Chimaev, which is a really, really good win, and I think that's going to age really, really well. The way he was able to stop him in the first round. Robert Whittaker, he is him. I still think he's got a lot more to give in the sport. A lot of people seem to think that he's coming to an end. I think he still can compete at the very, very high level in the UFC's middleweight division. But Robert Whittaker, he is number 3 on this list. Number 2, we have got Israel Adesanya.
I manifested this.
Look, I get it. It's fun to hate on Israel Adesanya, but this guy, I mean, why has he got his nails painted here? Nonetheless, let's move on. Israel Adesanya is the second best middleweight of all time. 2-time middleweight champion. Has got a really stacked resume. He is currently ranked number 4 in the UFC's middleweight division. Obviously, right now, the guy's on a 3-fight losing streak, but what this guy's done throughout his career has been really, really impressive. A 2-time UFC middleweight champion with 5 title defenses. He beat Robert Whittaker twice. He beat Yoel Romero. Who else has he beat? He beat Paulo Costa when Paulo Costa was undefeated. That was undefeated versus undefeated in that matchup. And he put on arguably a career best performance. Styled on him. He also beat Jared Cannonier as well. Marvin Vettori twice. Derek Brunson. Who else has he beat? The guy has beaten a lot of high level opposition. I understand the guy is a bit of a weirdo at times, but you have to give Adesanya his respect. This guy's done a lot in the game. I do think he is overhated. I'm going to say that. I think he's overhated. Now, I think his time in the spotlight is over. I think he should retire before he goes down the Anderson Silva route of ruining his legacy. I also don't understand when Adesanya and other people say, like, is a legacy cemented, so if he loses another 5 fights, it doesn't mean anything. Huh? Yes, it fucking does. The fact Anderson Silva didn't know when to get out of the game is why I just don't see him top 5 anymore. The amount of losses and the level of opposition that Anderson Silva lost to that you would never have really thought Anderson Silva would have lost to is a real big hindrance. But Adesanya is definitely number 2 on this list. And number 1, it's very fucking obvious. It is Alexander Volkanovski, former UFC featherweight champion, future UFC featherweight champion when he takes on Diego Lopez at UFC 314. I think a lot of people have just kind of forgot. People forget, man, who Volkanovski actually is. This guy is the greatest UFC featherweight of all time. A dominant champion with 5 title defenses. The guy beat Max Holloway not 1, not 2, but 3 times. Schooled him in their 3rd fight as well. He beat up Yair Rodriguez, stopped him, put a bad beating on the likes of Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie. He's also beat Jose Aldo, and he's also beat another legend in Chad Mendes. Volkanovski, a top 10 fighter of all time in my opinion, and is going to regain his featherweight title very, very soon. So, that is the list there. We have got Carlos Ulberg, we have got Steve Usyk, Kai Car-France, Dan Hooker, we have got JDM, Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, and rounding it off, we have got Alexander Volkanovski. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Have I missed a fighter out? And as always, let me know what country you want me to do next, or what part of the world you want me to do next. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I will see you all again in the next one.